Well, it read like a Hollywood movie, a flamboyant property whiz with the million-dollar cars, penthouses and international sporting stars as his mates, selling property in a deal that looked too good to be true. It was. Dozens of small investors were damaged and a fighting fund that kept a roof over their heads is now running low. David Richardson on how it's been topped up in a very unusual way.
Prisoner 429-925, formerly number 37 on Australia's Young Rich list, now a self-confessed fraud, a rip-off merchant behind a $26 million property scam.
He stinks. He stinks in every form, from right through to his personal morals, to his business morals, to the actual smell of the man when you get close. He used to say, "You think that I'm just an ugly black so-and-so." That's what he said. "But I can make people rich. I make these effers rich," is what he said.
His name is Bangaru, a slick, fast-talking property spruiker who in a 5-year scam ripped off dozens of people, mum and dad investors like John and Jill O'Donnell.
They just virtually robbed us. He promised us things that never delivered. It makes you sick knowing that he's had it and spent it. He had a great time with it.
The O'Donnells and young mother, Maria Di Benedetto, are typical victims of this cold-hearted South African con man, ripped off and left with nothing. How much did you lose?
We invested $500,000. There's always in the back of my mind, every day, do I say, like, I had my children's birthday party the other day at home, and there's a little thought in the back of my head that says, is this the last time I'll have my son's birthday here?
And all the time he was conning people like Maria, Bangaru was living the life of Riley, multi-million-dollar penthouse suites with breathtaking views, a fleet of mega vehicles, including a $1 million Malbec flown in from London. Even famous sports stars like Brett and Shane Lee and Socceroo Mark Viduka were conned by this smooth talker.
You've been of enormous benefit, a great help to us in regards to fighting the case to help the victims of Bangaru, the fraudster, who is now only just a few minutes away from here, locked in a cell in Silverwater, thank goodness, where he can't hurt anybody else.
Enter consumer advocate Neil Jenman. He set up a fighting fund to help the victims of Bangaru fight off finance companies who tried to take their homes when the con unravelled. John and Jill have hung on to their house, but for how much longer?
We wouldn't have been there now. We would have been out in December 2005 when we got the first default notice, because we could never afford to pay for it.
Bangaru took the $500,000, and he took the $500,000 from dozens of people.
So Neil Jenman reverted to his old self as a real estate sales trainer. In a series of concerts in Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane, real estate agents have paid $1,000 each to learn sales skills from a man dubbed one of the best. All that money going to help Bangaru victims.
We will gross about $530,000, less expenses. We're hoping that we'll have $350,000 profit out of this, that it'll go straight into the protection fund.
It's not a question of what we've done with the money.
As for prisoner 429-925, Bangaru has finally pleaded guilty to 11 counts of fraud. He's behind bars until he's sentenced later this month. But what's to stop another property con ripping off the innocent?
It should be illegal for mum and dad investors. It should be illegal for people like John and Jill O'Donnell to invest, borrow on their home and invest in these sorts of schemes.
To start again is soul-destroying.
Jenman's sold-out concert series will enable some victims to keep their homes a little longer, but he believes tougher action is needed, even governments pitching in to help.
If the government would match dollar for dollar to help the victims of Bangaru, I would be extremely grateful.
And other victims to come.
Oh, and other victims to come. It really should be $10 for dollar, but I'll settle for dollar, yeah.
David Richardson reporting.